Welcome to Moving Mattresses in 3-inch heels, celebrating women and the many hats and shoes they wear. Here we will dive into the ups and downs of womanhood with humor, heart, and wisdom, empowering you every step of the way. I'm Julia Jordan, and I'm thrilled to partner with you on this journey. Now, you may be asking yourself, what the heck does moving mattresses in 3-inch heels mean? Well, it's literal. I was literally moving a mattress in 3-inch heels, my favorite pair no less. And I came to the realization that not only can women do anything, we do everything. We're going to focus on 5 pillars: metabolism, meditation, mental health, menopause, and I would be remiss if I didn't add the 5th, medical. It occurred to me when I was putting these metrics together, all 5 of the words do something that most women do not, and that is start with M-E. Start with me. So I'm going to amend my previous statement. Women can do anything, and we do everything, except prioritize ourselves. But it's time to. It's time for us to start with me. If you're ready to laugh, learn, and leap into a healthier, happier you, hit that subscribe button and join our wellness family. Let's go on this journey together of self-consideration as we discover how to start with me. Welcome to Moving Mattresses in 3-inch heels. I am your host, Julia Jordan, and today's episode is the big connection, how our adrenals can make or break our metabolism with Betsy Markle. Hi, Betsy.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. Now, Betsy is a registered dietitian, easy for me to say, and holistic nutritionist. She has over 20 years of experience, and she did start her career on the clinical side, but she found that it did have limitations. So she really found her view of the power to heal the metabolism when she worked under a world-renowned endocrinologist, also easy for me to say. Subsequently, she and her business partner created an innovative program called Metabolism Mojo,
You got it.
and it's helped so many people. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love that you're here. I really, what you talk about and discuss, I think is so needed. I really feel like most of us don't even realize just how damaged our metabolism actually is.
I know. I just feel like so many people are in this world of frustration or overwhelm and they just can't find any of the answers. And they're kind of just going in circles, like it's a hamster wheel of just let me try this diet, or I will try to go low carbs, or, I'll do this exercise plan, I'll find this, I'll find that. And they're always researching and just coming up empty. And so, I feel like people are just thinking too hard when really it comes down to we have to be healing to our metabolism, nurture our metabolism back to life to really, get the results we want and to get our health goals and to reach our health goals and to, be at that body weight we want.
And I think just based on, that what you've been doing for years, you do take a holistic approach. So when you say nurture, I think you mean not just physically, but also emotionally and mentally. Like, how does that all intertwine and work together?
Well, 100%. I love the word nurture, nourish, nurture. These are the words that I want to like resonate towards and have people understand. And it comes back to the adrenals. It's our big talk today is the adrenals. And so when we like think about the metabolism and how it works and um it's just we're always pushing harder to like, work out harder, like do more for the body, like all these things. And it's taxing to the body, but it's taxing emotionally too. And when I say taxing, just think of the word as stressed. Like it makes us feel stressed internally, externally. And when you're stressed, that's your stress hormones are activated. So your adrenals are such a huge part of the metabolism, especially for women. We just have so much on our plate. So if we can think of it as a different way and say, how do we be more nurturing towards our body, for our lifestyle habits, for our mindset, and be kind to ourselves and to have less stress in the body and less stress overall. it means those stress hormones are going to be less activated. The adrenals will be more calm. And the beautiful thing is people get much better results. They live a happier life, but also if they're trying to lose weight, they'll lose the weight because you can't lose weight when your stress hormones are activated all the time.
You really can't. And I think for a lot of people, the missing puzzle piece is the adrenals. And especially for women, like you said, I mean, and you do talk about how women tend to put everyone else first. And so I had a hormone panel done and my cortisol is through the roof, speaking of stress hormones. And so I know that all works together. And so, what do you recommend? Like, what's a good first step to even like identify or what's going on with us?
Okay, so back in the day when I worked with lots of holistic doctors in California, and especially Dr. Schwartzbein, the endocrinologist, we would do a lot of adrenal panels to see. So you can, like, a lot of people will do just a snapshot with their doc of just like one level with their blood work because blood is the most accurate. So it's like, okay, like I got one level, but to me, that doesn't mean anything. Um, the adrenals are, especially your cortisol, are going to paint a picture of the whole day. Like they need to start out where you're like, oh, I wake up with energy because I'm well rested. And then they kind of start out high and then they go down as the day goes. And then you flat line all night. And so you need to see the rhythm of your day. So you really can't do that on like a one time test. So then you would say, okay, like we can do it through saliva testing through the whole day and you do it in incremental steps. But a lot of doctors will just do that and evaluate it when you really need to know what's going along with it. Like, did you have a horrible night's sleep? That's going to show on your test. Did you skip breakfast and have a lot of coffee? And then, like, oh, that's going to paint a totally different picture for your adrenals in the morning. Was your day super stressful and you didn't take any breaks from work and you just powered out your day? That's going to paint a picture. So it's like we need to, like, when I did evaluate the ASI, the adrenal stress index test, I asked people, like, what was your day like? And I wanted, like, we plot it out so we can see what the test looks like with your habits. But to be totally real, I've probably evaluated like 500 to 1,000 of those tests. And they are quite obvious. Okay. So I feel like I don't need test results to see it. Okay. So if right now you can just say, oh yeah, my life I feel in general overwhelmed, stressed, frustrated for the most part. I think a lot. I'm overthinking constantly. I put a lot of pressure on myself. My mind's constantly going. I'm going to put my money on it that your adrenals are stressed. Now, there is a difference between stressed adrenals and burned out. So, if you are saying, well, I'm still have energy, like I can go, 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 and I still have energy, I'm going to say that your adrenals are just high. They're like off the charts high, like where you are, Julia. So that means like, I can still do this. I can still conquer it all. You're like kind of running on this high, and you feel like wired but tired, like your body's starting to give you
Oh,
signs.
that's a good one. I like it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a sign that you're getting to the high point and you're about to start to go down to burned out.
Okay.
When you're burned out, you're gonna know it. You're gonna say, I'm more exhausted than ever. And wow, I'm having more and more inflammation in my body, and my body's showing like lots of symptoms, and my hormones are totally off now. Like those are signs that like you're beyond like the stress adrenals, and now your body's just not making enough cortisol, and it's getting burned out. So an important part throughout this, whether you're stressed adrenals or you're burned out, the one of the things that correlates to a lot of people is like I say that you have a damaged metabolism when your adrenals are really in this place. It's impossible to heal your metabolism when you're with those stressed adrenals. But what can correlate for a lot of people is like you just can't drop weight anymore. Before you were able to drop weight, now you really can't drop weight anymore.
Mhm.
So to me, I can just do a questionnaire. I could just talk to you, Julia, and I could just get the scoop and be like, yep, this is pretty much where your adrenals are at. And then the big deal also is no matter where they're at,
Yeah.
If you want to be healing for your metabolism and you want this chapter of your life or this next chapter of your life to be easier, like not so much resistance, like easier, and you want to feel good in your body and you want to lose weight naturally without yourself forcing yourself to do it,
Yeah.
then the only option, like you can't like do another diet, you can't push yourself so hard, especially when your adrenals are on overdrive. The only option is to, quote, quote, nurture that metabolism, like nourish your body, be kind to yourself physically and mentally. And there is, obviously my program is designed all around that. It's Metabolism Mojo, and it's to heal the metabolism and to really calm down that stress response in the body. And so wherever you are in the spectrum, the path is the same. We want to have these lifestyle habits that are steadying the blood sugar, the hormone, and that are calming down the stress response in the body through your daily actions.
Yeah. And let me ask you, um, women, particularly in our 40s and 50s, I mean, perimenopause, menopause come into play. So our hormones are already like, yeah. And so is that going to set our adrenals off even more than they would have in other circumstances?
Yeah. I mean, if you're starting out with them already like your adrenals are already stressed or burned out,
Mhm.
it's just going to get 10 times worse with perimenopause, menopause. And that's why you
Yeah.
hear some people's stories where you're like, menopause was horrible and other people's were
Mhm.
not so bad. It's the people who really were in a good place with their metabolism and their adrenals where it tends to not be nearly as bad. You won't have the like kind of the rebound effect with all the other hormones being so off, just off.
Got it. Now, when you're saying nurture and nourish, I'm curious about like what foods maybe are easier on your body that actually not only nourish you, but like nurture your body. Don't make it so hard on your
Yeah.
digestives and other things like that.
And I like that you said that just to kind of use it as an example of so many people think in a way of like what foods, what to eat, what not to eat. And that's, like, I'm going to say that's a baby part of it. It's
Okay.
way more. So remember we talked about the circadian rhythm, like as in like there's a flow of your day. And so if we can think of things more as like a daily action, a daily routine, it has so much more impact than just a food. So it's
Okay.
like each meal has an impact of your blood sugar and your stress hormones. So, for example, if I were to skip breakfast and just like drink a cup or two of coffee and then like not eat anything for like the next like 3, 4 hours, your body is in a really stressed state. It's saying, okay, I slept, I have fasted for a while. Like I am about to be ready for this day, but I have no fuel in my engine. Like, why are you doing that to me? Like, so I know that a lot of people do intermittent fasting, but if we're talking about women who are in perimenopause or menopause, um, that could be one of the worst things you can do for your metabolism. So I just want to make that clear. So in general, if we were to talk about the good and what you can do eating wise, I am all about having a steady blood sugar. So do not skip meals. Do not skip breakfast. And when I say meals, I mean snacks too. Like everyone seems to get that 3, 4 o'clock time where they're like, oh my God, I'm like so tired. I could take a nap. Like life doesn't have to be that way. Like you don't have to have cravings all the time. You can be in control of it if you have a steady blood sugar. So it's all about the timing of your meals is huge. And if you exercise and especially if you exercise hard or do something like that and you don't fuel properly before and after, you're really going to get that like feeling of exhaustion or you're so hungry and you're like, I can't stay on track with my nutrition at all. So it's the timing of the meals. If you were like a coffee junkie or you have energy drinks, like you're giving yourself fake energy, which your body's saying, oh, I'm stimulated and then I'm low. And those ups and downs through the day will rock your adrenals. So we
Mm.
can't do that if we're healing the adrenals. And if just in our society, we tend to have a lot of toxic food. So a little bit more of a cleaner diet is going to be very important. And some people have food intolerances and that might be hindering them from losing weight big time
Mhm.
or they might have an autoimmune disease and they need to be off of a certain food. So it's important that like when I work with clients, I assess what all their symptoms are, the condition, and we would experiment to see which foods are most problematic for them. And some people, it's like, bam, like no more GI issues, like no more bloat. And they're able to drop weight all of a sudden just by eliminating a certain food. So I do evaluate, how to do more of an anti-inflammatory diet and how to reduce sugar and, we have to stay hydrated. So it's definitely, you can see it's like a bigger picture of implementing lots of like a daily flow and routines that feel like really good and nurturing for your body.
Got it. So it's really a big part of it is timing and not neglecting, our meals or even snacks. I mean, a lot of the things that you're saying, there's people like you that I trust that are saying things that are the opposite of really what we've been taught. Like you burn more calories when you work out on an empty stomach. And you're saying now you're pretty much, neutralizing your entire
We know
workout.
that works. It works in the
Yeah.
beginning, right? Like
Yeah.
when you're 21, you're like, okay, this is easy. I got this, You're like even 30. Okay. But then
Yeah.
like each time it gets harder. Like, why does it get harder each time? It's because each time you do a diet and it's a diet because you feel deprived and you're like,
Right.
I'm like depriving myself of this. And it's like you can feel those feelings of cravings, of energy highs and lows. Like that it's like all those signs and symptoms are telling you that you're damaging your metabolism each time. So every time you diet, you get more of a damaged metabolism, more. And so now it's like once we hit like 40s, 50s, 60s, like there is just no doubt in my mind, you cannot go back to those old ways that quote, quote, used to work. Like we have to do it in a way that is like the only way to set you up for success. You have to heal your metabolism first. And
Right.
am I freezing, Julia? Or no, I think I'm good. And then one thing I forgot to say, Julia, that I think is important too, because I touched on intermittent fasting. Um, and you said, oh yes, it makes sense. You got to have like small, you're like eat evenly through the day. But we also have to balance our meals and snacks. I feel like so many people don't know how to balance their meals. And then their snacks are like, oh, it's just an apple, the healthy, it's an apple. But
Right.
we don't balance them and we especially are trying to skip carbs all the time, that is our main fuel source. Like if you don't do that, you're going to slow the metabolism down. So again, keto, something like that might work in the beginning, but after a while, it's like it's obviously not sustainable long term, and it will it will stress the adrenals 100%, especially for women.
Right. And it just seems like we'll try something and it'll work for a little while just because our bodies will naturally respond. But then as it adjusts to what we're doing, then it stops. And maybe it feels like, well, I need to put on some weight or put on some fat because I'm not getting enough. It's like adapted to what we are feeding it eventually. But that's what our bodies are built to do, correct? Like adapt.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just always want to just have my clients like my whole purpose when in Metabolism Mojo, when I'm coaching clients, is like
Yeah.
just want people to have the right knowledge. Like you
Hmm.
can't just say like follow this diet plan, and get the results you want. It's more like you need to know how the metabolism really works on a deeper level. You need to know how these body systems work. You need to know it for you, like and personalize it for you, and just know that like I have Hashimoto's, like I'm gonna have a different game plan than somebody else, or
Hmm.
if someone's pre-diabetic, their game plan is going to be different. If someone is a perfectionist and puts lots of pressure on themselves all the time, like we have to address those kinds of ways because again, we talked about before it's the eating. And yes, I adapt a nutrition plan for different people. But for if you follow, let's just say you did a coaching program for me for 3 months and we just did nutrition and exercise, which is what our society thinks about. They're like, just exercise and eat right. And that's the answer. But what if life gets stressful all the time or your schedule changes and you have a different job and, your kids, it's summertime and your kids are off school and it's like everything changes and you get off track or something really
Hmm.
stressful happens in your life and you get off track. Everyone just goes back to old habits. The only way to really stay motivated is to be in a place where you understand how the metabolism works, you know what feels right in your body, and you are eating way more intuitively, and you know how to balance meals, you know the meal schedule that works for you, you have daily routines that really feel right. And when you're like that, you like the what you want is to go back to like eating this way. You're like, oh, let me get back to my routine. I'm planning ahead today. Like all of my clients who go on my vacation come back. I'm like, okay, so like, what's going on in your mind? And they're always like, I'm so excited to get back into my healthy routines. Like I couldn't help it. A lot of things were out of my control when I was, out, but I'm so excited. I'm like, yes, like it needs to feel good. So it's so exciting to me to create these routines with my clients and to educate them and empower them for the future.
And I think that's so important. It's like we do respond to structure. Like we feel like we don't need it, but when we get into a certain routine, it starts to fit us, like you said. And we do respond well to structure. I think a lot of the advice that's out there is a one size fits all. And you're totally opposite to that. It's like, let's get it suited to your specific needs because timing, certain food, exercise, whatever it is, it's not going to be the same for everyone. And I love, some of the habits that you talk about implementing, like life balance, organization. I mean, I think organization is a big one actually, because your
Or
mind gets stressed and then your house is a mess because your mind is a mess.
it's the same for your health. And you can even think of organization in your brain.
Yeah.
If your brain is always thinking and it's on a
Mhm.
loop because you seem to think the same things all the time. And you tend to have those feelings of overwhelm and just like questioning yourself constantly. It's like, is this right? Am I doing it right? Should I be doing this? Like, those are signs that your brain is not organized either. Your brain is literally in like 100 places at once. And then it's like the toughest thoughts are the ones that keep going. And it's like a fact that we repeat the toughest thoughts 80% of the time. Those are our repeating thoughts, constantly repeating. So if we can get organized with knowing we're on the right path, having a path that we really have faith in, that we're like trusting the process with, and then getting organized with menu planning. Like you have a routine that works for you every week or every like 4 days, 5 days. Like we have awesome menu planning software that I love that
Okay.
like, spits up a itemized shopping list. It's not like this is the same menu you follow every single week. It's like, no, these are your staples that you do on a weekly basis. Like you love oatmeal and you love eggs and you make a special like pancake on the weekend. You might have 3 breakfasts that you rotate. You have like 2, like 3 or 4 snacks that you rotate. Like I want it to be simple for people, but then I want them to be like, oh, let's pick this dinner and let's pick this one. And my family loves this one. I'm gonna have leftovers. And this week is like a really busy week. So I'm gonna make a crock pot soup and have it for leftovers for a bunch of days. So like with the menu planning software, you can do it within just a few minutes and then print up the shopping list each week. So it's such a great way to kind of get organized and take the stress off of menu planning each week.
I'm actually sitting here calming down, listening to you talk about that because one of the biggest things is menu planning. And I mean, whether you're single, whether you have a partner, whether you have a family, it's just like we all have to eat. And, and it's so strangely stressful. And then we know we should be eating well, but it's so easy to just grab something and go. And so,
Yeah.
and we'll have a link to your program and your website up in in the notes for the show, so people can access that. But I mean, I think that just eliminates so much to know what you're eating. It's not like you can quit eating, It's not like another vice. It's not a vice; it's a necessity, but it can
Yeah.
get out of control, and so it's so oddly stressful. Meals are oddly stressful.
Yes, it's so and even when my clients, like, if someone's new to our program and then they're just like, "Betsy, I, like, did food prep for 4 hours on Sunday." I'm like, "Ew, why would you do that?" Like, I'm just like, "I don't want you doing that. That will never stick." I'm like, "You gotta create, something that's gonna stick for you. If you love being in the kitchen, you wanna food prep for 3, 4 hours, then go for it." I'm like, "But it needs to be something really like truly realistic that you say, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna make like my dinners a little bigger and have them for leftovers. And I'm gonna prep this like overnight oats that take 5 minutes. Like I want simple things for people to do so they can maintain it, and I want it to be adaptable. Like if a menu like recipe, you're like, I don't have this ingredient and that one, and I'm gonna sub, the quinoa for the rice, like of course, this fruit for that fruit, no big deal. Like I want it to be where you know how to balance a meal and you know kind of the general portions for you. You can eyeball it and you can like make adaptation. So I want things just to be sustainable for my clients.
So, so quinoa. What do you recommend adding to that so it doesn't taste like quinoa?
I used to hate it. I love it.
Okay.
I don't think of it as it's not like the jazzy part of the meal. It's just
Yeah.
you're obviously going to get some quality carbs with it. But I mean, last night, like I just made a bowl, like, and I make platters all the time where I have this platter. It's like a kind of Tupperware thing, and it's like so
Uh,
fun for my family because everyone just picks and choose. But it's like I had the chicken that was left over. I had like I chopped up, my daughter and I chopped up a bunch of just cucumbers, raw peppers. We had I opened up like a can of like olives for it and some artichoke hearts and some chickpeas. And, we had like some lettuce on the side and everyone kind of just made their own, added some feta or some pine nuts to it. Like it was just such an easy thing. It took like I don't say five, like 15 minutes to like prep that.
you just
And
made it sound good. Maybe I'll try again. I'm like, ew, it tastes like grass. But like, yeah, but putting all that stuff in it might be good.
that you have rice with, like rice doesn't taste like all exciting. Like it's
Uh
just
huh.
you would have a stir fry on it. You'd have
It's like a foundation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, so
Okay.
you just kind of utilize it with
I just want to touch on a few more things before we go. But one of the things you also talk about is connection. And I'm taking that as connection with your family, your community, having good people around you. Am I on the right track with that?
Yeah, you nailed like my favorite word. I guess it looked like it was like, nurture, nourish, but honestly, connection is my word of the year. And it's been my word of the year for 3 years now. I can't let go of it. Every New Year's, I'm like, what's my word of the year? And it's like connection. I gotta connect because I've been talking today, connecting with your body, knowing how it's feeling, knowing what feels right in it. Um, Connecting with your mind, absolutely. But it's also like connecting with like Mother Earth, like anytime like I'm on the computer for more than 2 hours, I get up, I leave, I go outside, I take those deep breaths, I like, connect with the earth. But connection with people is huge, absolutely. Like, and especially if you are struggling as a woman, um, and you just have influences around you that are social media is not great, it's gonna definitely like just be in comparison mode which puts us in a downward spiral. And then there's just women who are also struggling that might be sharing like wrong information. And they'll be like, oh, so it's like just to have like, people in your world that are going to bring joy to your life and to truly, be like a role model to guide you in this journey of being the healthier, happier, person version of you that you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We do so much for others, and it's just important to recharge ourselves. And part of it was we have to be able to recharge ourselves. But
Yeah.
being around people also does it and having fun and just doing all the things that don't, that give your responsibilities, a break. And this has been a wonderful conversation. And I appreciate you taking the time. And I will have a link up so people can get in touch with you and learn more about your program. What is a good first step? Like, I wanna make improvements. I wanna start lowering my adrenals, my cortisol. Like, what's a good step I can just make today? We could just make today.
hmm I would say, if you could put it on paper and just plot out the flow of your day in 3 sections and just
Okay.
say morning, daytime, evening. And just, look at your day and just kind of plot out what your day looks like. I wake up and it's like a rushed morning and I have coffee and then I don't eat till here. And, I am like busy all day. like write out how you feel during the day too.
Okay.
And at nighttime, it's like I'm binge watching Netflix. That's my only time by myself, um, and you might just see like, whoa, my daily pattern is totally burning out my adrenals. Or you might say, oh, I love my mornings and, it looks real good. And then it really gets bad at this time. It might help you pinpoint kind of the problem areas for you. But if I were to like just, if you were to like do my program, the first step in there is to get organized, and I
Yeah.
help people with the menu planning piece and to really get organized with that kind of overview of it all. So, just kind of looking at the flow of your day or getting organized would be a beautiful first step. And I always
Okay.
tell people like when I do like free talks and like webinars and programs, the first step that I give it's an obvious one if you're in a true place of struggle is just call us for a free consultation because
Yeah.
it's either with myself or Stacy and we're not salespeople. We literally are just gonna like do an evaluation of what's going on in your world in a very clear format. In fact, I am like my next one of my next newsletters that I'm creating right now is like a self analysis quiz to see where you are with your adrenals and your metabolism. So it's like I have these tools that we can do it with you and see where you're at and like give you a personalized plan of what your like most important action step would be from there. And if not because not everybody is like a beautiful fit for a program, but if you are a beautiful fit, we can explain what it's all about and see if you want to move forward with it.
And that would be absolutely wonderful. And I love what you just said. Take a life assessment, I think, or a lifestyle assessment. What am I doing, you know, at each part of the day and where can I make an adjustment? But I think that's a good first step because even though we're doing it, we're in it and we may not even be aware of it all. So I just feel like becoming aware and um, that's so helpful. This whole conversation has been very helpful, Betsy, and I appreciate you taking the time and thank you.
I really love talking to you, and I love talking all about this, and I really enjoy talking to you, Julia. So thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Thank you for joining me today on Moving Mattresses and 3-inch heels. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest tips for living your best life. Until next time, stay fabulous and remember, your wellness journey matters. Self-care is a necessity and it does not require an apology. I'll see you soon.